Welcome back to Outriders. In this video I am going to be showing you the build I used to clear tier 14 and make my way up to tier 15. This build is not complete, it's just the build I was able to do it with, and you have to bear in mind if you're watching this at some point in the future or something like that, I am using emergency stance, which at the time of me recording this is broken. You do get the 65% protection permanently instead of it lasting only 4 seconds. So I couldn't be bothered with the stress anymore. I wanted to get to tier 15, and I did actually complete, is it Time Worn Spire? Yeah, I completed that on tier 15. I only got a bronze, but I have got a tier 15 completion now. So looking at the build, we have a assault rifle tactical variant. I've not really been using this unless I've run out of ammo. And you have to bear in mind that a couple of things I would have leveled up by now as well. Or at least this SMG. So this was my main and my primary. I was running this tactical variant SMG with crit damage, long range and close range damage. I had Claymore, so shots damage an enemy with an anomaly blade, dealing 133k damage every 4 seconds, and then Death Chains, which deals 193,000 damage over 3 seconds every 2 seconds, and that's their values now. They would obviously have been decreased at level 49. Then my sidearm was literally just a high level. I'm running the 3-piece Marshals set, which is not amazing, but it gets the job done, especially for an anomaly-based build. So the helmet, everything on this in terms of gear, just so I don't have to go through the attributes, is anomaly power, cooldown reduction, and skills life leech. Every single last piece has exactly the same thing. I've raised all the attributes as much as I can, and we have the default tier 3 mods on the legendaries. So Wide Horizons increases endless mass radius by 25%. Then we have endless mass anomaly damage against affected targets is increased by 33% for 5 seconds. And then power assimilation boosts your anomaly power by 8200 for each elite present on the battlefield. The secondary mods, which I have changed, I was going to go for endless mass with all the mods. If you look at the set bonus, endless mass pulls enemies and causes up to 4 of them to share 10% anomaly and 30% weapon damage for 5 seconds. But instead, because it's only got a 6.2 second cooldown, I went with some earthquake mods. So we have extra quake, we can activate the skill once more before triggering the cooldown. Then we have Earth's Legacy, increases the skill's range by 60%. And then we have Asunder, using the skill permanently reduces the armor of affected enemies by 20%. Then on the 2 purples, Emergency Stance, that's the glitched out mod. And then we have Damage Absorber, increases your armor by 42,000 and resistance by 10%. And then just because I got these, like this pair of boots to roll with what goes around, I've got that on. So incoming bullets have a 30% chance of being deflected towards an enemy, dealing 13k damage. And then for Earthquake, I've increased the skill's base damage by 84,000. It would have been lower at the time when these were 48 or 49 in terms of level. So that's all the gear. You can see my stats: 83.9k firepower, 131k anomaly power, 18.5k health, and 182k armor. So if we go over to the skills, I'm running Earthquake on a 6.2 second cooldown, Golem on a 14.4, and then Endless Mass, because the gear set leans towards that, on a 13.1 second cooldown. Then the final thing I'll show you is the way I've got my class tree set up. So it's all in the bottom tree because this focuses on anomaly power. And I'm just going to leave it there so that you guys can see the exact route I took. But I will show you the bottom ones, like the big circle ones. So using protection skills increases anomaly power by 45% for 10 seconds. Then I've got increasing my armor bonus by 40% of my anomaly power. Increase armor by 20% and resistance by 20% for 10 seconds when your skills end. And then increase seismic skills base damage by 50%. And then the other little ones simply just increase like my bleed duration and how much damage bleed actually deals. But that is completely irrelevant, and that is because if we go back and we look at the gun, with Death Chains and Claymore, they don't actually apply bleeds. The only way to get bleed off this build is to melee, because the Devastator has a base like bleed status effect ability sort of thing in the melee. It's like a default status for this class. So I was, before switching up to this build, when I was running a firepower build, I was running the ultimate bleeding bullets. So every second when I'm shooting, I deal bleed and apply that status effect. But it actually slowed me down with this anomaly power build because the status power was just not going to deal a lot of damage. This is all based on skills life leech, anomaly power, so dealing damage and stuff with the skills and their cooldown reductions and things like that. So I put on 2 damage mods. You can use other ones if you want to, but I've gone with them that actually apply the damage when you're shooting instead of getting kills, because it's not a firepower based build. So basically I shoot and the first bullet is going to damage an enemy with an anomaly blade, deal 133k damage, and then also wrap the enemy up in the death chains and deal almost 200,000 over 3 seconds. So it's actually very good if you're running an anomaly based build to have 2 damage dealing sort of mods on your weapon, just so you can still shoot, still deal a little bit of damage, and as you're running around you're proccing these mods to deal extra damage on top. Because ever since I put death chains on as well as claymore, instead of running claymore and bleeding bullets, I've been like improving my times drastically. I've gone from not being able to clear 14 to being able to clear it. And then with this build, I've not actually failed an expedition so far. I've managed to get through every single one that I've started. Just some of them will have worse times than others. Some of them I found easier to get through, but I've not had a wipe at all since running this build. So I've even had a tier 15 clear. Even though it was a bronze time, I've still got work to do on this build. This is a very, very solid anomaly power based build. Although I would like to try some other gear sets and maybe get a different mod from a legendary, like tier 3 for the weapon. So instead of running death chains, I think there's even like ultimate death chains, which is like procs over a second instead of 2, or something like that. But that is my build. I showed the skills, the actual gear and the weapon that I run, the class tree, and that's everything there is to know. You literally just, with this build, how I've got it set up, you literally just go into an expedition, start shooting enemies. What I do is use endless mass on the little adds to group them all together. Double earthquake, they're normally taken out in the double earthquake. Like, I literally use it once and the entire group is taken out. And then just leaves me with like an elite that spawns in, like on Archways of Enoch at the start with the Broodmother. Then I'm simply just literally proccing death chains and claymore all the time whilst double earthquaking. I don't use endless mass on the big elites. Even the alphas I try not to, just because it consumes a lot of time and you're going to lose that damage from the mods on the weapon if you're just sucking them up, because my endless mass doesn't actually deal a great amount of damage. I use it just to try and group the smaller adds together. But then obviously Golem, that's a protective skill to use, is pretty good to increase your survivability, because there's been times where I've been close to dying, and there's been lots of those times. But that is my build that got me to tier 15 and is now completing tier 15. I just need to work on it a little bit more. Maybe even switch out the legendary gear set. I'm not entirely sure what I want to do with it yet. But on that note, that's going to do it for the video. Let me know your thoughts and stuff in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed it.